you see a doctor?
I did. I saw a doctor, and then I went to the hospital and got a CAT scan. And then one of my colleagues that I work with, our camera assistant, used to be an EMT. So he's been keeping very close tabs on me. He, like, the other day in the office, checked my pupils and has been, like, you know.
There's nothing like nothing like a good CAT scan to make sure everything's under control. Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where I am joined by my sisters, Lily and Becky, and we talk about movies and our childhood and television and make fun of each other. And this week we are actually doing a live video feed to each other. So as I'm doing this, my sisters are making faces, like their reaction faces as to what they think my voice sounds like. Anyways, let's start with Lily. How are you? Calling in from the Canary Islands.
I am good. I have a sick 2-year-old, and I'm like at that point of, is inflection the right word? Who knows? Who knows what the right word is?
You're Spanish. It doesn't matter.
Who knows words? Shai's taking a picture of us. So where it's my birthday tomorrow, and I'm like,
we're gonna get to that.
We're
excited for your birthday.
Well, I'm excited, but I'm just saying, like, I'm sort of debating on like how I want to go and enjoy and have a great birthday, and like how sick does your kid need to be to like pawn him off with a babysitter while you enjoy your birthday? Like medium sick, not like really sick. So I'm just sort of like, you know, I'm supposed to have a babysitter come watch him tomorrow and do something fun with my husband, but I'm like, oh, he's sick. I feel bad.
No, I think it has to be like a sickness that requires a parent there to make decisions.
How do you know?
When you have to
if you're a new parent, you're like, I feel like it's like playing a video game, and you get to like these next levels. And a few weeks ago, I got to the next level Barf. I had not played that level yet when I got all the barf. When Ari barfed for an hour and a half on me, on all his toys, on all his clothes, and it was gastro. Like, it wasn't the end of the world, but he was sick, and we ended up in the ER. And I was like, wow, I guess I just like beat, Bowser, the Bowser of barf.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like at the next level. I'm like, well, if it's just like strep, does the parent have to be there for strep? I don't know. I'm at the new level.
No, definitely not.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, if he gets really sick, maybe.
Popsicles?
I will say, Lily, if you're talking about barfing on toys, I just want to recount, this is your birthday. We're going to talk a little bit about our childhood. And there was you were a puker for sure. I mean, you puked even when you weren't sick. Generally, when you were riled up, you just puke. And there was a time where you barfed into when we shared a room. You and I shared a room for a little while when Becky was a baby. And I slept on the bottom bunk and you slept on the top bunk because I was afraid to sleep on the top bunk. And one day you were playing on the floor or you were upset or something and you threw up and you vomited into my toy box.
And, you were never the same.
And
I would hate to have been mom.
And there was a vehicle that I had. Here it is. The Havoc. If anyone wants to look up the G.I. Joe Havoc, it was like the first time I ever got a real, like, kind of fancy G.I. Joe vehicle, right? We weren't the family that got the Millennium Falcon or the aircraft carrier, but I got the G.I. Joe Havoc, and you puked all over it and a bunch of other toys. And for years, there were little crusts of vomit in the crevices, and it stunk.
Shai, stop it.
Anyways, so
how do we cut that out? Ugh.
Becky, how are you doing?
I'm still concussed. So I'm doing my best. That's all I'll say. I'm doing my best, all things considered.
You look good.
I got the concussion on Saturday. I didn't go to the doctor until Wednesday.
Despite
the doctor was like,
our advice.
Yeah, despite everyone's advice.
And the kind people on Twitter who have written
you?
to see if you're okay.
I don't know if
Did she text you?
I even talked to like I talked to people in the medical field, and everyone was like, "You need to go to the doctor." I didn't.
She texted me, and I was like, "I'm out for dinner." Or I was like, I was out for dinner, and I couldn't really talk to you. But there's like a whole bunch of texts, and at the bottom was, "I have like a medical emergency," and I just was like, "Okay, I'm not reading all your other texts, but I will say I think you need to go to a hospital." And she still didn't go.
So I didn't. So on Wednesday, I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "You definitely have a concussion, and you should have gone to the hospital." So then I took that as, I'm just going to go to the hospital anyway. So I left the doctor's office, who said, "You don't need a CT, you're fine." Went to the hospital and was like, "I need a CT scan." The doctor
like, all I heard was CT.
The doctor was like, "You really don't."
I find
like,
them very relaxing.
Right. He's like, "You don't need one. You definitely don't have a brain bleed." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we're going to give me one anyway." He's like, "Sounds like you're going to get one anyway." I did get one, and
Performance like a little radiation.
Yeah.
What? Just a little.
We like to be sure. Allie still won't let me get the full body scan, but I want it so bad.
Oh, please. If it wasn't like a major dose of radiation, I would definitely get one. That's a good birthday present.
That's a good birthday. I don't have a brain bleed. I am recovering from the concussion.
Thank goodness.
I'm learning that stress actually makes the symptoms worse. So I'm trying to stay calm amidst, a hectic schedule. On the upside, the doctor who treated me at the hospital was gorgeous. Get a concussion, go to this hospital, chat with this super handsome doctor. You will feel better.
Do you want to shout out to the doctor?
I save that for the. Oh no, I'm shouting out to him. I'm saving that for the end.
Oh, okay.
He is my shout out this week.
All right.
Super dreamy doctor.
So, what I would like to talk about, because we're almost a year into the show, and no one's asked me how I was doing. How
you doing, Shai?
That this is episode 52 of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, which means next week we will have done our 53rd consecutive week of podcasting, and it is our official podiversary. How are you going to celebrate?
I would like to celebrate by putting some like Adam Goldberg style home movies of us on the internet.
Okay.
I'd like to celebrate by the three of us going to a movie together in the theater.
That's the best. That's the best.
In December we're gonna be able to do that.
I love going to the movie with you guys. I have some movie stories
We'll have to
tell.
put our own movie on, but where we're going has a little cinema.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we'll go to the movies.
Well. That's a great way to celebrate. Okay, so and given that this is coming right at the time of Lily's birthday, maybe I'll do a few birthday party clips from the family archives.
But why don't you do like a little origin story? Lily, the origin story. Do you have any recollection of my birth?
Oh, I can tell you right now. Okay, so this is for Gato, our dear friend and follower.
Who loves a good origin story.
So this is some Friday Night Movie origins. Lily was the second born. I was probably 2 or 3 years old. I don't remember how old I was. I was 2 or 3. I was 3.
No, you were almost 3.
Almost 3. And what I know about Lily has a lot to do with comparison to my birth, because our mother tells the story of my birth a lot, and it was extraordinarily long, my birth. Lily's birth, the way it was described to me as a kid, is that it was like one push and she went flying across the room and they had to catch her.
Like a football.
And unlike me, who was the calmest, kind of like Becky's baby, Miri's baby, like relaxed and sweet and quiet all the time, Lily came out screaming and screamed.
Still screaming today.
Well, today.
Still screaming 30, almost 6 years later.
And as a result, in her earliest days, had the cutest hoarse voice, as we've talked about many times, as she describes.
Very small Joan Rivers.
Like a little tiny Joan Rivers. And what I also remember about Lily was that she had a very bald head early on. Right? Becky she was a cue ball and blonde hair, and then her ears were pierced at a very young age, and they looked like the bolts from Frankenstein when I was little. Like, I always thought that Lily had a little bit of a Frankenstein look with those bolts in her ears. But we had a lot of fun adventures together, and then Becky came, and we were roommates for a while, and it was a good time. So
you always had a particular. Are you going to have a tough day tomorrow? Because you usually had a difficult time at my birthday parties.
Your birthday parties would be the peak of me acting out. By Becky's birthday parties, I would behave and help. But at Lily's birthday parties,
you were once the croupier at my birthday.
Yes, we made a casino-themed birthday, and I built a roulette wheel out of a bicycle wheel.
Bicycle.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's actually a great, if we could find some footage, I feel like that's a great one of you two participating in my Casino Royale birthday party.
Which, like, if you think about it, Mom and Dad are so creative, had some great ideas, but is gambling the right thing to be teaching children?
No, because it was a Hanukkah party, and a whole theme of Hanukkah is gambling.
Again, though. Like,
it's true, the Dreidel game, 100%.
I'm pretty sure there are other
exactly.
themes
I think you're reinforcing my point.
One of the themes is gambling.
But speaking of bad parenting, and I feel like this is sort of like an underlining theme of this episode too, like learning how to be a good parent also involves possibly some bad parenting. Shai, not to criticize your stellar parenting skills, but I feel like you were like a bad mom this week. And I don't mean that, I mean literally bad moms.
So I'll ask this question, Becky, because Lily's,
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, how old do you think is old? Like, what is the appropriate age to take your kid to see their first Eli Roth movie?
He's the guy that did Hostel.
14?
14, Becky.
I don't know.
I'm by the way, in my late 30s and have still not seen a full Eli Roth movie.
Yeah, but kids today, I've never seen one either. So I would say 36? I don't know.
So I took my kids. So my older daughter and I had a special, like, daddy-daughter date, and she really wanted to see this movie, The House with the Clocks Inside the Wall, or The Clock Inside the Wall. Sorry.
Look at Becky's face.
Follow me here. It's about a young boy who's an orphan who goes to live with his uncle who's a wizard in this mysterious house. The uncle wizard is played by Jack Black. The uncle's best friend and neighbor is played by Cate Blanchett, doing like sort of a quirky Tim Burton-esque type of character.
See, once you bring her into the mix, things got serious.
Kyle
She
MacLachlan.
could do a quirky role.
Kyle MacLachlan plays the villain.
Twin Peaks.
That all seems like fun though. Those Jack Black, like that. That's
so. I'm sorry. Fun. Let's do math. A Cate Blanchett plus a Kyle MacLachlan outweighs a Jack Black. So this movie's too scary.
So let's be clear. So this movie we've seen the commercial many times at other movies we've seen, and I was really excited. We'd watched Goonies a couple of weeks ago, so she was like really into trying to see something spooky. Like she was tickled by it. And we went to see this movie, and I have to say it was a delightful movie. We did not finish it, but it was delightful. It had that Harry Potter kind of vibe, and there were a couple of
finish it because she made him leave because she was terrified.
Hold on a second. There was some jump scares in it, and we would both jumped, and we were like, and then. Later, towards the end, they resurrect a villain who comes back kind of as a zombie. And at that point, my child was like, we're out of here. We're out of here. And God bless her, she bolted from the seats and ran
where it gets good, Becky.
To the ramp and ran to the back of the theater. Only it was one of those theater where you have to go down first to exit. And so I'm chasing her up the back of the theater.
She had to get closer to the screen.
No. She went back. Yeah, she had to go like down a few steps and then curve around like a hallway, right? Well, instead, she ran directly up the stadium seating all the way to the back of the theater. She's like, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here. She gets to the back and she goes, there's no way out. And so and there were like 3 people in the back of the theater watching the movie, watching this happen. And so I scooped her up and we ran out of the theater. And then I asked her, and she said she loved the movie, but it just got too scary. And she was like, maybe I'll watch it again, maybe I won't. And then I'm telling the story to Lily, and I said, yeah, but it was an Amblin Entertainment movie, Spielberg.
I was like, E.T. is not making your case here.
And then I said, I'm like, it was directed by Eli Roth. And then Lily's like, hold on a second.
I just went nuts on him. I was like, you had me at Eli Roth.
So yeah. I thought Eli Roth did a capable job in what was a pretty fun movie, but it scared the living daylights out of my son.
Shockingly, maybe not for a 7-year-old.
How many movies are out there that I've never heard of? I've never even heard of this.
But you're not seeing. But here's the thing: you're not seeing the movies we're seeing, where this is a constant preview in every movie I've seen with my kids for the last few months.
Okay. Got it.
I guess we don't go to kids' movies in a theater.
Yeah.
What was it called?
The Incredibles
Chihuahua Cops, or what did you see?
Oh, Show Dogs. Show Dogs. Starring Will Arnett and Natasha Lyonne.
God.
So that was my parenting adventure. So So yeah, so
I have a lot to get through on our list. So I feel like we should.
let's get going. So our
start
big meal here is Maniac, which Lily watched, and then Becky and I watched the first episode. Did Becky watch more?
No, I only had time to watch the first.
So the first episode.
Did you watch with Vlad?
No, I watched it right before we podcasted, but I'll make him watch it.
Yeah, I feel like he needs to see the show.
So Lily, why don't you give us the premise?
Oh my god, I'm never going to give the premise. I'm so excited, and I practiced in my head because I knew if I talked too long, you guys would yell at me.
But let's be clear.
So I was like,
part of why I'm asking you.
Becky goes, time is up.
Part of why I'm asking you is that I saw the first episode, and I would still like to know the premise.
Okay. So the premise of the show is that there are two people. One played by Jonah Hill. Okay, Becky, don't laugh at me. I can see her laughing as I describe.
This is a story with characters.
Okay.
I have one question, Lee, before you get going.
I swear I practiced this on my own.
It is Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, right?
It's Jonah Hill and Emma Stone.
Did you find yourself asking throughout if this was in a shared universe with Superbad?
Yes.
Right, because they were in that movie. That was her first movie. I did not find myself asking that, but that was the last time they did a movie together. And so Emma Stone and Jonah Hill live in a New York that's in the future, but it's like a retro future. So it's what the future would look like, I think, in like an 80s movie. So the aesthetic is not futuristic.
I didn't take it that it was futuristic. I took it that it was like a slightly parallel universe to ours.
I think
that it's like, what if things evolved just slightly differently?
Sure, which I think you could look at it that way.
It's not really the future. It's just if things were just a little bit skewed off from our reality.
Sure, I think there's something though. Maybe when there is an AI component to it, so I think that's maybe why I think of it as the future.
Okay,
as you go further in the episodes, there's an artificial intelligence part of it. So I think maybe that makes it more futuristic. And there's a few more elements, but yet all of the technology looks like very 80s, which is just a really fun aesthetic that you can see they're playing with.
Netflix knows we love the 80s.
Yeah. Clearly. And so it's about these two people who, for their own separate reasons, decide to join an experimental drug trial at a pharmaceutical company. They have completely different reasons, but they meet each other there. And something with the experiment goes a bit wrong. But behind the experiment is Justin Theroux. And this fabulous.
I never got to Justin Theroux.
Yeah, we didn't get that far.
And you know that he is maybe second to Elizabeth Olsen on actors that I want nothing to do with.
Really?
Oh, I can't stand
it.
Listen, I agree.
No, not Elizabeth Olsen. Who's
Moss.
Not Elizabeth Moss. No, I like all the Olsens. Any Olsens are good. Elizabeth Moss.
I kind of agree. Like, I'm always fascinated watching Justin Theroux in something, but I don't care that he's in it. He could be replaced with any other actor, and I'd be just as happy watching
I'm
it.
always asking myself is when and how did he become famous, and is it just because he dated Jennifer Aniston? Because I still have yet to see something.
No, I mean, he's a great writer. He wrote Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
Try.
All right.
I think he's funny.
I
think he's a good actor. I like him. I don't have a problem with him. But
I guess he's never coming on this podcast.
I'm just.
Well, he can because I said I like.
Prove how funny he is. You know who else isn't coming on the podcast? Elizabeth Moss.
I can tell you.
Thanks.
So anyway, so then so Justin Theroux and Sonoya Mizuno, who's like a fabulous actress who plays Dr. Azumi Fujita, because the company's Japanese. So there's also this whole like Japanese culture thing part of this pharmaceutical company, which is just very interesting. And they're behind it. And then Sally Field is in it as well.
What?
So right now you're just still naming characters, but it's about two people who join an experimental drug trial and something goes wrong.
Something goes wrong, and Justin Theroux is part of the pharmaceutical company, and his mom is a very famous psychologist, like pop psychologist, and that's Sally Field.
Okay.
And so part of the confusion, I think, in the show is that Jonah Hill's character is diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic. So he has you think he has some sort of schizophrenia, which makes him see an imaginary brother who tells him he needs to be on like a secret spy mission. Right. So there's that narrative going through it. Emma Stone is dealing with her own problems. And a bunch of other people are in their trial, too, trying to get... This is supposed to cure, like, mental illness, this trial, this drug.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
so reactions to the first episode. Beck, what do you think?
Yeah. Reaction. I found like the aesthetics super interesting. The thing that was keeping me from watching it, and I truly only watched it for this podcast, is because in the previews and in the posters for it, or like, the Netflix
promotion
for it, promotional materials for it, Jonah Hill stressed me out a lot, and I just found like his whole look was very stressful, and I was worried I would watch it and find him extremely, extremely stressful to watch.
I don't find him stressful to watch in it.
No, but that's the impression I got from just the way he looked. But then I didn't. I actually had no problem watching him. That aside, I did find it interesting. I like not, to a certain extent, I like not quite understanding what's going on, knowing that, okay, as the story unfolds, the pieces will come together, and that's going to keep it super, super interesting. I think you could go down a Westworld rabbit hole where it turns into like a pile of poo, or it could end up being something super interesting and exciting. So I'm kind of hoping Maniac goes in that direction, because the first episode, you're literally watching, you're like, am I in the future? Am I in the past? Is this a flashback? Is this happening now? Is he asleep?
Is this just a bottle episode of Fringe?
Right, like what's going on? But the aesthetic does keep it really interesting. My only criticism, and it's not specific to just this show, but it's sort of a general reoccurrent occurrence we're seeing in a lot of Netflix, like straight to streaming shows, which is that the pacing tends to be very slow. And at first you're like, oh, it's interesting and it's kind of cool, and we're staying in this scene a little bit longer, and then sometimes you're just like, come on, guys, pick it up, tell the story with purpose. But I don't think that's specific to like, oh, Maniac. I think it's just kind of a style right now that streaming shows have a slower pace in a lot of ways, because Shai, like you brought up before, they know you're just going to keep watching, so they're not rushing to get to any.
So this is because you're not hooked on one specific episode, like you had to be on a weekly show.
Right. You're just going to...
So this is why we're related, because I have written in bold in my notes, it feels like this show could have been a 90-minute movie, but is instead a 10 hours director's cut. Thank you, Peak TV. Because I found it intriguing. It had that vibe of a movie like Pi or Vanilla Sky. Not exactly Dark City, but an episode
I would say you're on the right track.
Or an episode of Black Mirror based on
definitely like a Vanilla Sky kind of thing. Yeah,
I described it as Black Mirror meets Twilight Zone meets Buckaroo Banzai to somebody.
Well, I can't wait till the Buckaroo Banzai part. I don't want to know when people are going to be traveling through dimensions. That's what that better be what you're talking
There's
about.
There's sort of like a fantasy element.
I will think
there is a fantasy element.
The opening sequence of the show is fantastic and extremely well done and super interesting and engaging. That opening sequence about the creation of the universe got me interested in watching.
Roberts, if you're listening, check out that opening sequence.
It's not like a credit sequence. It's just sequence. It's not a credit sequence. It's just the opening scene, which is like
when they describe
the creation of the universe. I really and in the end, I give it a rent at most. Great actors. I thought the writing was really interesting. But in the mood I'm in right now, it's slow enough that I don't care to follow.
I in no way thought you were gonna watch this show.
But I don't hate it. I think it's cool.
Because I'm concussed, I'm happy it's a little bit slower. I'm like, oh, okay, I got some time to figure things out. No, I think it
gets funnier. So
I think it's cool, and it's a lot less stressful than I thought it would be based on the previews. The previews made me think it would like give me anxiety watching it.
I'll say this: if you're somebody who would like a mix of like a fun, weird '80s sci-fi thing, mixed with something like a Twilight Zone, mixed with Black Mirror, then this is a cool show for you. If those things that I just described are not up your alley,
then won't like this at all.
You're not gonna like it. But I actually really curious to hear what Vlad thinks, Beck, because this is a very silly, absurd.
Why don't we have him as a guest on the podcast?
Well, he's refused many times.
Tell him to watch it, and I'm curious because there's a very almost Wes Anderson-y kind of humor throughout the
whole Japanese thing reminds me of Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. We're glad we have a visual on Becky in case she nods off with this concussion. I don't want to hit her head again.
Careful.
No, exactly. This is good. We have a visual. Okay. So another first. So Maniac, feeling pretty good. One thing I was irritated about it is that Netflix, in the apps that I watch it on now, starts a show if you just look at the screen long enough.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
And Maniac was the one it kept starting for me, and that really irritated me. So
I agree.
I was listening to somebody else's podcast, and I can't remember. No, I think it was just on the radio. I was listening to people
like an old-fashioned podcast
normal,
when they just used to
just the radio, the radio station here complaining about the new feature on Netflix, where
it's pretty annoying.
Where it starts something else for you, and you're like, no, thank you.
So we had another premiere or first episode arrive, and I will dedicate this segment to Ash, our guest from last week, and Lanz, who are the hosts, and then I am as well now on the Goldnerds podcast with them, which is a huge honor. But we are huge Goldbergs fans here. Now, I've talked about this at length already for the taping of that episode, so I will not bore people. But did you all watch the first episode of the Goldbergs for the season?
I only had time to watch the first 5 minutes.
I watched it. I just watched it now.
Oh, no. I didn't get to finish watching it.
I watched it because you told me you watched it.
No, I said I was going to sit down and watch it, and then I got pulled away. I had to take care of my child.
Oh, okay. So we don't have to go into it.
It was good. It was good. It was cute. It's like 16. They did a whole 16 Candles homage.
I don't know. I only got to watch maybe the first 4 minutes, and I immediately, my heart was just bursting with joy, being like, they're back. My family is back. I felt very... very comforted.
What did you think of it, Shai?
I just have one word for you, and that is Bubby-lution.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So that first scene where where Bevy's fantasizing about becoming a Bubby, that to me was.
I was explaining this to our friends that becoming a Bubby is a higher achievement for a Jewish mother than if they got 12 PhDs, 5 different types of doctor degrees, a law degree. Being a Bubby is it.
And went to space.
And went to space. Anyways, it was wonderful. It was good to have them back. There's another show that Becky and I have been catching up on, and Lily's been secretly watching.
But until you can't watch it. Until you get to season 2, you don't really know the level of trash.
Yeah.
You really got to
season 2 is especially trash.
Well,
and this is
I am no one to call the kettle black here, because I just watched 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, well,
season 15.
I really need to watch that.
Season 15, so I really need to.
Should I do rapid fire questions?
So what I was going to say is that Riverdale, just to give people a sense, Riverdale is on the CW. It is a take on the Archie characters, but imagine they put them in the movie Cruel Intentions. Is that accurate, Beck?
I just feel like aren't you a bit sad?
Yeah, with a little bit.
I'm a bit sad that this wasn't on when we were kids. I kind of wish maybe this was on instead of Gossip Girl, although that was huge. I remember that being a big deal when I was in college. Gossip Girl was. But what?
Gossip Girl was its own whole weird
thing. But I'm I would never trade the original 9-0 for this. That was the biggest deal.
That was straight up trash.
Right, but I'm just, part of me is had we been younger back, we probably would have enjoyed watching this together. Yet there's no way Shai would have ever even known what it was.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much then as I do now. I'm being 100% serious. I think I enjoy it now because I'm an adult and I can watch it and think it's hilarious. But I think as a teen, I would have been ashamed to watch it.
Do you think do you think only people our age are watching it, or teenagers are watching it? No, I'm
pretty sure there's a whole lot of dumb teens out there that watch this.
I think teens with excellent taste and palates are watching this. So anyways, Riverdale, though, does, as it takes these classic characters, the way the show is constructed really raises a lot of questions. And Becky was sending a bunch to me the other day, and I said, you know what, let's just bring these questions out into the open. So Beck, why don't you rapid fire some Riverdale questions to me? Or to us. And Lily, you should try to answer even though you haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Is the FBI agent who recruits Archie, is he real? Is he really an FBI agent? Is that how FBI agents behave?
I was
Why
watching.
I'll ask that question I'll answer that with a question. Why is Archie the worst one on the show?
He's really terrible. No, but is the FBI agent real? Is this how an FBI
I mean, do
agent
FBI
behaves?
agents hang out by teenagers' schools and blackmail them?
And blackmail them alone in cars.
I'll say I
Come
did
into
not.
my car while I
Who plays the
blackmail you.
FBI agent?
Oh, I don't know.
Indescript
Skeet
CW
Ulrich?
actor dude.
No. Yeah.
And I will say that not only did I not understand that part, but I must have like gone to get a snack while that part developed, and I came back and a few scenes later I'm like, when did the FBI get in this show? Why is the FBI interested
Exactly.
in Riverdale? Why is Archie being
missed
blackmailed?
1 minute of Riverdale?
There's a whole FBI.
So I would say if I found out later that he was not an FBI agent, but was really like the long lost sibling of like Moose, whatever Moose, the
Or
Moose
was
character.
from like a rival gang.
Right. There's a lot of
Moose
gang
is
stuff. in
Closeted
Riverdale.
gay,
A lot of gangs on
right?
many.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's closeted,
Yes.
but Moose is a football player who is gay in the show. That is part of the.
Yeah.
That is part of the show.
I think he's called it. What is wrong with Hal Cooper?
So Hal Cooper, Lily, is Betty Cooper's dad, who might be the worst parent I've ever
Like
heard.
the worst parent.
But not like a mean, abusive one the way you'd have like some terrible parent, in a show. It's like doesn't believe his daughter.
He's like a giant man baby.
Yeah, he doesn't believe his daughter, who is constantly uncovering horrific crimes in the town and is consistently like right in what she finds. He, I think that, and we're in the middle of the second season, so spoiler alert, and other people don't spoil for us. I think he's the Black Hood. I think that
I don't think he's the Black Hood. I think he's just
the Black Hood Lily is a murderer who's murdering people in Riverdale
what
for
the
sinning.
question is. What is? Oh, and maybe
Who
that's-
murdered Cheryl Bloom's brother?
because Betty and her brother and her. Okay, forget. I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it, but we discover Betty has a long lost brother. Lily, I'm sorry.
Is a erotic webcam model.
Okay, then I'm going to skip to the front of my question
Yes.
line.
Oh, please
What's
ruin
with
this
all the
show.
erotic
People need to
webcamming?
know.
Erotic webcamming now becomes a thing in the show. Webcamming? Okay, question mark. Don't even answer that. Next question. Cheryl Blossom's mom is a belle de jour all of a sudden? That's code for a daytime lady prostitute? I don't understand.
Yeah, she had to keep the family fortune going, but apparently there are
How much
How
is she
much
getting
money
paid?
can you make? Does she do a webcam?
No, she meets with gentlemen callers and
They live in
enjoys
this
it.
Grey Gardens type estate, and the mother's kind of crazy because her daughter burned her in a fire, and now to make money after they lost their fortune because their dad killed the brother, Cheryl Blossom's mom.
The dad. The
did I
dad
ruin
is the
the
one
first
that.
season?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Oops.
I didn't see that coming, so that's good.
That really ruins it.
I mean,
Okay,
Lily, by the time
next
it happens,
question.
you're like,
Did
I don't know what's going on.
Shai, did you get to the episode where there's a Quebec gangster who orders poutine at Pops?
No, that's amazing. I
So
will
there's
say,
a poutine reference. Watch out for it.
I really
Wait, which one of you has seen more of the show than the other?
I can't.
I guess
tell.
I have. If you haven't gotten to the gangster poutine reference, then you're behind. During Hiram's poker game?
I have not gotten to that one yet.
Okay,
Hiram
so you'll get
Lodge
to
is
that. There's
played
more.
by Mark Consuelos, right?
Yes. Lastly, are all of the serpents Native American, or is it just Tony's grandfather?
Right. That was a really interesting.
That was like a curveball.
a real interesting curveball that the serpent's background is now a Native American
They
backstory
wrote that in that they're
as part of the
which I
bringing them.
actually think is a kind of the only storyline where I'm like, oh, that's actually really interesting.
It's an interesting origin story, and it's interesting because they talk a lot about the history of Riverdale, and they're talking about how the Cheryl Blossom's ancestors that they celebrate massacred these other poor people, because there is this whole class story in Riverdale, the South Side versus the North Side, and why getting to the root of why the South Side is treated so badly, and then as you dig deeper into the history, you find that the North Side has done god-awful things to them. So I think that was interesting. Seems like not when they were writing Archie originally, what they were getting at when they had the South Side Serpents. But again, I don't think that they were also going to have, incest and all the other weird things that have happened in the...
A lot of other weird things that happen, especially the webcamming. Let's see where that goes.
And I know that, Beck, the costuming of different characters has come up in our conversation, like how they pick the aesthetic. So,
last question.
Are Betty and Veronica friends or not?
Yes, they are friends.
In this version, they are very good friends. But speaking of Veronica, why, pray tell, is she always dressed like she's going to a sexy meeting at the bank? That's what I would like to know. Very specific. Sexy meeting at the bank.
Very specific wardrobe.
And she's,
it is.
Did you guys see the musical episode? I heard there's a musical.
I haven't gotten to the musical, but
I don't
think
know. They
every
also do
member
a
of
lot
that...
more singing in season 2. There is so much singing in season 2. It's like, Wola. Like, enough. We get it.
There's a scene...
Everyone's a rock star there.
I think this cast must all be able to sing. Like, they must all be able to sing, so they've worked it in. But yeah, there was Betty does a bordello cabaret striptease sing-along so she can join the gang. Like, it was like a Sam Crow kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's very weird. But then she's, like, not really in the gang.
Now, did we acknowledge that Jughead is a little kid from Full House, the original Full House?
He is? I thought he was from Big Daddy.
No, from Friends.
Oh, is it Friends? Sorry, it's
Friends.
not.
I thought he was from
Friends.
Big Daddy.
It's Friends.
Yeah,
from Big Daddy. He's a little kid from Big Daddy, and he played Ben on Full House.
And he's great, by the way. That Jughead is the heart of the show.
I know. Jughead is really starting to...
Doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's really starting to unravel in season 2.
Oh. But
I'm loving how much time we're spending on Riverdale, but I'm wondering if everybody else really wants us to talk.
Well, we're gonna wrap
about
up.
it.
We've now ruined the show in multiple ways, but I still like it, and I'm back into watching it. Okay.
I mean, you can't ruin that show. It's already ruined when you start watching it.
So I would like to. I want to balance out Riverdale with something of high taste, Grey's Anatomy, which Allie watched earlier this week, a 2-hour premiere. Every time I looked at what was going on in that show, it was like a scene from Saw. Like some horrific injury and surgery and doctors prescribing medication to themselves through other doctors. It was out of control.
My doctor from the hospital with my concussion might be on Grey's Anatomy. That's how handsome he is.
So, Lily, did you watch the premiere? That was 2 hours long. It was the premiere of Grey's Anatomy.
The only way I can justify watching it is if for one of the 2 episodes I'm on the elliptical.
Okay.
Which I do.
Well, that's good. You'll get like 2.5 hours of cardio. Because I will say that one premiere of Grey's Anatomy was as long as Star Wars: The Force Awakens or half the length of one episode of Outlander. Either way, super, super long.
I mean, I don't understand. The show makes no sense, but it's just one of those things that, like, you can't. And we have a cousins chat about it. We've talked about this. We have, like, all these girl cousins, and Allie's in it, and it's super fun. You're like in deep. Like, there's no turning back.
Okay.
I don't know what show could replace it. Like, I read an article the other day that was saying, like, why are we so obsessed? It asked the question, why are we so obsessed with medical dramas? And probably like since at least, yeah.
I mean, Shai's not.
Okay, Shai has like
just his own medical drama.
Yeah. The only medical, like the last medical show I watched was
borders on very funny, like good taste and very trashy taste in TV. So I can't abide by those rules.
I'm more of a Private Eye kind of show person.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess I love me a good medical drama, and I haven't seen The Good Doctor, which I know some people really
it doesn't have enough good characters. That's really where it's just not, the characters aren't good enough. I have very high standards for my characters.
Yeah.
And okay, so Grey's Anatomy, you're happy to have them back. It doesn't entirely make sense. They're all like, there's all sorts of relatives. I mean, how many siblings can work in one and married people married to each other work in one hospital?
Yeah, it makes zero sense. And
there's no sense of how old anyone is or what year it is at that hospital. No one knows what like time it's taking place in because of all the weird.
So it's like Maniac.
Yeah,
it's like Maniac.
The main character, Meredith Grey, is a single mom with 3 children. She physically lives like she has to take a ferry to get to work. And she's a surgeon. And in the first episode, she's like, I have too much time on my hands because I'm having sex dreams. I need to become chief of the hospital. I'm like, you have 3 children, lady. There's nobody that believes you. Like this whole, like, she was like, I'm just not busy enough. That automatically had me annoyed. Can't stop watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any other shows that you guys are watching?
Yeah, I finished season 2 of Atypical, which I really liked it, and I recommend that show to people. It's a comedy with a lot of heart. I think there's good character development. I like the fact that they put although the main actor doesn't have autism, I believe they had other actors in the season that do have autism. So I thought that was cool, like diverse to see different people on the screen. I think the acting is great. And yes, these kinds of shows, I feel like the Netflix, Amazon, pretty much any show, season 2 is never as strong as season 1. It's only 10 episodes, but good enough for me. I liked it.
Is there a whodunit component? If there is, Shai will watch it.
That's a good point. Was someone possibly murdered or kidnapped?
Was something stolen? Was there a jewel that was stolen?
A rare jewel.
Does a teenager have to be the detective? Because if it's a teenager who's the detective, Shai's in.
Detective. A good teen detective show. I mean,
or
father-daughter team up.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water or a father-daughter team up.
So your favorite
father-daughter fish out of water team. That's Shai's perfect show.
That's it. Okay. What? I continued to watch Insecure, started season 3, was very disappointed to realize at the beginning of season 3, Frida has cut her hair. She no longer has long curly hair. I'll keep watching. It's a good show. All the other characters are amazing.
Oh, okay. But here you have an identification because of your curly hair.
Because of it's just the type of curly hair, and then she cut, and I was like, oh, yeah, you don't really speak to me as much anymore.
I mean, Felicity, right? Didn't Felicity go off the air because Kerry Russell cut her hair?
It was a big deal.
I bet she didn't cut her hair on The Americans. Isn't that right?
She's such great hair on The Americans. She wears a lot of wigs.
She's so pretty, though.
All right.
I just wanted to also just randomly say, before I forget, that I was reading the newspaper. That sounds so weird. I was reading the Huff Post the other day, and there was an article about how the kid that is in The Kingsman,
Taron Egerton.
Taron
Egerton. Yeah, I love that kid. He's an amazing actor.
Yeah, right. How he's gonna be Elton John in the new biopic.
Oh, cool.
And the words in the article was trailer dropping this Monday. And I was just
that's like Lily's.
Oh, my biggest pet peeve.
Fills you with rage.
But also like insane excitement. Because I'm like, there's a trailer dropping.
Wait, but have you seen The Kingsman 2?
Yes,
no.
That movie,
so The Kingsman, but The Kingsman
lit
2,
on fire.
He and Elton John have team up fight scenes in The Kingsman 2.
Yes,
Elton John is in it.
Yes, because Julianne Moore kidnaps Elton John. That movie, somebody was on major drugs when they wrote that movie and just got it greenlit.
I enjoy it. They're making a third one. I'm excited.
Making a third one.
Yeah, and they're doing a spin-off about the American version of The Kingsman that they have in the middle of the movie that appear that are, is it?
Tatum Channing?
Yeah, Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges. They're getting their own movie apparently.
Oh my goodness.
So Al and I finished watching the first season of The Tunnel, which is a British murdery show, as has been noted, that I really like those now. And it stars Stannis Baratheon, the guy who played Stannis Baratheon, but as a fun character. Well, not fun. He gets progressively more depressing, his character. Anyways, in a lot of ways, it was very predictable. I kept driving Allie nuts because someone would come on the screen and I'd be like, he's in the show? Oh, that person's definitely a bad guy. Because it didn't make sense as to why a particular actor was in the show unless they had a real role. And it had a bit of that Dragon Tattoo feel to it. It was depressing the way the end of Broadchurch is depressing, but I really loved the interaction between the two characters solving crimes together, fishes out of water in their respective country, and so I really do want to watch season 2, but I need a break from the emotional experience of season 1 before I get into it.
Have you seen Insecure? It's really funny. You should really watch it.
I'll get to it.
Have you watched it?
Then maybe that'll be my palate
I've
cleanser.
seen
It's really
season
different.
1.
I think you might actually really like it. It's really funny.
Cool. Any shall we go to shoutouts?
Sure.
Yeah. I'd like to shout out to Dr. McGorgeous stuff. I don't know your name.
And that's one of the names of the characters on Grey's
name?
Anatomy. That's one of the...
McSteamy and McDreamy.
There's a not McGorgeous?
This is Dr. McGorgeous.
McSvelte?
Becky, how do you not look at your paperwork? You have to know this guy's name.
Maybe I will look at my paperwork.
And then we'll add in his name.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on Instagram, looking fabulous.
We'll find him. I don't know. He's a surfer too, so maybe I'll like bump into him again one day. I'm married, by the way, very happily. So I just have a concussion. So shout out to him.
Cool.
That's all.
And Lily, shout outs.
I'm gonna shout out to Mom and Dad because I was born tomorrow. So thank you for making me born.
Thanks.
Shout out to the M&D.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to shout out to Lily because it is your birthday tomorrow.
Aww.
I've also,
shout out to you too.
I've also sprinkled some other shout outs throughout the show, so, you know.
I see that.
You're usually
I only wrote down one of them.
I need to reserve like 7 minutes at the end of every episode for you to shout out.
No,
So-
I decided to, I'm keeping it short and sweet this time. So, Becky, where can people follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at PaperBKPrincess. I haven't been tweeting back lately because of my head injury, but I'll get back into it.
So if people want to tweet Becky get well messages, now's a good time because in a month she'll check it and write back.
When I'm recovered, they say it takes 3 weeks.
Yeah. Takes a while.
Okay.
Lily, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
Way to go. You did it.
Oh, I like your special birthday present to everyone to get your handle right. Get practicing.
Now my extra special birthday present would be to use the Twitter.
Yeah.
So now I just have to use it.
Everybody wish Lily a happy birthday and Becky a get well message. Although by the time this drops, it'll be
already my birthday. We can keep celebrating. No big deal. What?
What are you going to do for your birthday?
Well, we were supposed to have like a lovely breakfast with my kiddo and my brother-in-law who lives with me and my husband at our house. And then my husband and I were going to go take a day trip down to the south of the island and hang out just on our own, where I would be in a very quiet state reading a pile of magazines that I brought home from America to my island, where I could read and be quiet, because I live with a lot of people, one of them being a 2-year-old. So that was the idea. Hopefully my little guy is feeling better and I can do my day trip tomorrow and then go out for dinner.
That sounds amazing.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can rate and review us on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts,
And I'm very curious. I want people to tweet at us about Maniac if anybody watches it. I'm curious what other people think of the show.
I would like to know what people think, because it's hard. I feel like I'm a little bit in a bubble. I just watch it on my own and I don't really know. And so you can rate us, review us, please. That really helps us with visibility. You can check out all the shenanigans at pancake4table.com or FridayNightMoviePod.com. The Friday Night Movie Pod and Pancake for Table crew will be at the All-Star Comic-Con June 7th through 9th in Tyson's Corner, Virginia in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Becky's looking surprised.
Are we going to promote this every week between now and June?
Yeah.
Every week. You never know who's listening and
when they can come. And I love the All-Star guys are really terrific. Kevin and crew. And I want to make sure people know this awesome event is happening, and we're going to be there, and we're already planning some fun stuff for that. So there's that. If you don't have enough of listening to me blabber, there are now 2 other podcasts where I will be appearing regularly. One is with my dear buddy Ash of Goldnerds fame, who was on the show last week, Behind the Music. And then I am proud and humbled to say that I have joined Ash and our friend Lanz as a regular member of the Goldnerds podcast, where we will be discussing the Goldbergs in great detail every week. With that, the theme music by What Does It Eat will kick in, and we can actually see each other dance. Lily, do you wanna video us dancing for the archives?
Yes.
That way, so we're dancing. Lily's got us. This could be kind of funny
or nauseating, because
boomerang
I'm also dancing.
And thank you guys for doing this. Love you.
Goodbye.
Oh, let me boomerang it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Good show, guys.
I don't know how to boomerang later. Let me boomerang now.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, dance. Becky.